Well, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl again. And Andy Reid's probably not going to be retiring anytime soon, but we're going to try to learn from some of his famous quotes and tie that into retirement planning today. So you're going to want to watch this show.
It's another episode of Your Retirement Elevated. I'm Walter Storholt alongside financial advisor Scott Dugan. And on this show, we help you plan for retirement, but we're also going to talk a little football today because, Scott, you're based in the Kansas City area, and so we kind of can't not talk about the Super Bowl that's coming up at the time of the release of this episode just a few days from now, coming up this weekend. So we're going to learn from those quotes, as you just mentioned, some of Andy Reid's famous quotes, and see what financial wisdom we can extract from there. So I'm looking forward to that. But first of all, any big plans for the big game this weekend?
Well, it should be exciting. This is could be the possible three-peat.
It'd be pretty impressive if they pulled it off.
It would be, and it'd be great for the buzz in Kansas City. Everyone's super excited about it, and so just planning on getting together with a group of friends and watching the game, and we'll see if they can pull it off. A three-peat would be fantastic for Kansas City.
Now, given your chef background, tell me, you got to give me an insight into your favorite game day food. What would be, in an ideal setup, what are you making on a Super Bowl Sunday or consuming on a Super Bowl Sunday?
So probably my number one thing that gets requested are called armadillo eggs.
Armadillo eggs. Okay. Yeah. That's new to me.
So we take jalapeno peppers, whole ones, and then also kind of the bell peppers, the small ones.
Okay, I like it already.
Cut those out. You take cream cheese and you whip it up, and you put a little bit of yellow food coloring in it, and you fill those with that. And then around that, you mold sausage into the form of an egg, put rub on it, and then you smoke those.
Wow.
And then when you slice them, it looks like a hard-boiled egg.
No way. That's pretty cool. Armadillo eggs. Wow. I may have to. We're hosting our neighbors for the football game this weekend, so I may have to try that recipe out, my friend.
Tough if you got a lot of vegetarians, but it does work if they're meatosauruses.
We don't have too many of those. So
okay.
As long as it doesn't have pineapple in it, which I'm allergic to, then we're good to go.
So you pull that one out, and that is usually because the display, just the presentation is off the charts. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, well, let's get to Andy Reid's famous quotes here and see what kind of financial wisdom we can pull out of them. Whether they win or lose this weekend, there's no doubt about it. Andy Reid's one of the best of all time, so certainly we can glean some helpful guidance from his wisdom in the football field over the years. Here's an easy one to start you off with, Scott. First one is, Andy Reid said, every play is an opportunity, so make every snap count. I like that he looks at every play as a chance to improve, chance to be better.
Absolutely. Because every play is designed to be successful.
Right.
And
there aren't any throwaway plays.
That's right. Very, very rarely.
Yeah.
And so just like every dollar is an opportunity, whether it's for your daily expenses, could be invested for the future, could be for an emergency fund, could you give it to charity, could be used for a fun vacation, could be used to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to use it for that, but a lot of people could use it for that. And so you just want to make sure that all those are great uses for the dollar, but just make sure it's part of your plan. Don't waste those dollars. Be intentional about those things. Now, again, we're going to have a little bit of cash flow that we've said, hey, that's fun money. We don't really account for that. But most of the time, especially when you're in retirement, if you want an exceptional retirement, you're going to want to make sure that you really think about where you're going to spend those dollars. And more importantly, is it going to have a positive impact? And is it really going to create an experience for you and your loved ones?
Yeah, it's a great point and a good one to start us off with. I think it dovetails nicely into another famous Andy Reid quote, and that was that we don't focus on the scoreboard, we focus on the next play. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that one?
I love that one. And if you think in the context, Andy Reid and the Chiefs, they have an ultimate goal, which they wanted to get to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And so they know that every game, every play, every practice is in either the game is in preparation or the practice is in preparation, or when you're running those plays in the game, again, they're one after another, stacking those up to the ultimate goal. All right. So when we put a plan together, we don't just set a plan and just let it go. It's constant planning. Just like when a coach gets on the field, a lot of coaches are going to have a scripted plays they're going to run. Hey, we're going to run these few plays right out of the gate, no matter what happens. Then as time goes by, either they continue with their play calling or they make some adjustments that they call the halftime adjustments. And retirement planning is no different. We set a plan of action. If you're pre-retirement, it's like, when do you want to retire? How much do you want to be able to spend? What do you want to experience? That's the ultimate goal. So we back those calculations up and say, hey, this is the path we need to be on. Now, once we become retired, there's a series of plays that we want to execute and we want to follow through. But we always want to be flexible enough to call an audible and make sure that we can change at the line, be flexible enough to make adjustments. And so when you're thinking about that scoreboard of the next play, we just are coming into very first couple of weeks of a new administration, and the media is doing a bang up job of getting a portion of the population whipped up into a frenzy. All right. Now, are there going to be consequences for the actions? Absolutely. Do we know what they are going to be yet? We do not. All right. So again, we have a solid plan, a solid foundation, and we're going to adapt as we get more actual information, more data, more facts. We're not going to use emotions to ride through here. So again, we're talking about don't focus on the scoreboard, focus on the next play. What do we do next? What do we do next? What do we do next? That's how we're looking at this, and we're taking all the information in. But again, we know that all of our clients are retired, and if they need an additional paycheck sent from their Fidelity account, that's the next play. How do we generate that next month's worth of income? Now, do we have plans for the next 90 days, 180 days? You better believe it that we do. But again, we're focused on the long term, but we want to be nimble enough to make sure, hey, we're going to be okay, and we'll make adjustments if we need to.
I think focus is that key word, right? Because it doesn't mean he's not saying we don't look at the scoreboard. He's not saying we don't take the scoreboard into account, but we're not focusing on it. Like it's not distracting us from our other goals. And I see that in your parallels really nicely too.
The plays are designed to move the ball and to score points. If you focus on stacking up those plays, getting first downs, getting better field position, increasing your probability of success, that's what leads to putting points on the game. And then you look up the scoreboard at the end of the game, and hopefully you have more points than your opponent.
Andy Reid and the Chiefs know what they're talking about. They're owners of the largest playoff comeback victory of all time. If they'd been scoreboard watching in that game, they probably might have lost motivation or gotten over their skis a little bit trying to fix the problem and get back on the right track. Instead, they focused on each of those next plays. They slowly built up to not only a comeback victory, but ended up kind of being a blowout, if I remember correctly, which was pretty incredible how that turned out. Dovetails nicely into this next one. Although they don't lose very often, Scott, Andy Reid did say there's always something to learn, even from a loss. So they don't just sweep losses under the rug. They look to improve from them.
You've got to, when we have a loss, we need to embrace the situation. We need to accept that situation and hopefully learn from it or find the positive in it. And so it could be, obviously, when people come to us, we're trying to give the highest risk-adjusted return we can. And so again, we want the highest probability of success. We don't want to take too much risk. We want to take the amounts that's just right to get the job done. And so when we're talking about a loss, maybe in the past you made a bad investment decision that didn't pan out. Hopefully you learn from that. Maybe there was a loss of a job that you had to come back from. Maybe there's a health scare that comes up or an injury that comes up that produces a loss. So again, we want to make sure that we want to be able to handle it, and we want to make sure that we've got contingency plans, and always making sure that whatever happens to us, we learn the lesson. If the universe is providing that to us, dust ourselves off, get back up, learn from it, don't repeat that mistake, and move forward. And so an example of, Warren Buffett says, rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, see rule number 1.
Yeah.
And so in retirement, it's more about keeping what you have and making progress, taking income, advancing the ball, advancing the balance of your account, but not taking huge losses that you may not have time to overcome. So again, it depends on where you are on your journey of retirement, you pre-retirement or post-retirement. Losses are a part of it, but depending on where you are, you may want to minimize it the closer you get to the goal line.
Is your retirement journey truly tailored to your needs? In his book, Exceptional Retirement: Tools and Strategies for Retiring on Your Own Terms, Scott Dugan addresses the crucial questions all retirees ask. Discover the power of a clear financial decision-making process that can prevent major retirement mistakes and unlock exceptional opportunities. In the book, Scott outlines 4 essential questions that guide retirees toward successful outcomes. Don't miss out on key insights that could define your future. Available now on Amazon. Click the link in the description of this episode to get your copy of Exceptional Retirement.
Yeah, losses can still be painful, but if we learn from them, that pain will subside and flip in the other direction, and you'll be almost happy that you went through the loss because you learned from it and improved your situation. So, again, it's all about viewing things as opportunities, and that was a great example there. All right, our fourth and final Andy Reid quote to get you ready for Super Bowl weekend. Adjustments are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign of strategy. I read this as let's be intentional about our changes, but let's also not be afraid to make them. Don't be ashamed if you have to change course.
Absolutely. And adjustments are needed, depending on the tax situation, the legislative situation, economic situations. Again, we set a plan of action, we set a course, but we've got to be able to course correct. And financial planning is really making sure that we understand along the journey, and it may be a 10, 15, 20, 30-year journey, there's going to be times when we check in and you're going to be right on track. There's going to be some times when we do a review, you're going to be ahead of schedule. And sometimes you're going to be behind. The key is know where you are, make sure your guardrails are set that you can operate inside of the parameters you're comfortable with, okay? But again, always knowing that, hey, if we need to change course, if we need to do reallocation, like right now, we're going through some asset allocation changes.
Okay.
Because we have things that we feel are a better opportunity to provide a better yield or better cash flow at a lower risk level. And so again, it's not that we were wrong a year ago or 2 years ago when we made some certain allocation recommendations. It's just we've kept up to date, and we feel like there's an adjustment that needs to be made, or a halftime adjustment that's warranted, that's going to put our clients in a better situation for the long term. So again, we all make mistakes. But again, I think it's not necessarily mistakes. It's adjustments are natural, and you've got to be open to making adjustments if they're in your best interest and they get closer to your goals and winning on your terms.
Surprise, surprise, the world changes, right? So let's be open to those things happening and make the proper adjustments. Well, in honor of the Chiefs playing this weekend, Scott, and you being based in Kansas City, I feel the need to change the background color today to the good old Chiefs red. So
there you go.
Just for you Chiefs fans out there, we get a little red glow today instead of the traditional blue.
Fantastic.
All right, so who's your pick? You think it's going to be Chiefs or Eagles? Hard for you to pick against the Chiefs if you're in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, we're in Kansas City. It's historic. If you get a three-peat, it's going to be unbelievable. So obviously, yes, between the two, I want the Chiefs.
There you go. The big question is, does Travis propose to Taylor after the game? That's the big – I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I knew I'd get a good reaction from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, all kidding aside, if you do need help with your financial plan, with retirement, we had some fun today talking about these Andy Reid quotes and some lessons from it. But at the end of the day, this stuff is serious, and this is what makes the difference between victory on the football field and also success in retirement planning. And so if you need help with that, you can always reach out to Scott and the team here on the Your Retirement Elevated podcast. You can go online to listentoscott.com. We've also got his phone number and other contact information listed in the description of today's show. show as well as on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. So don't hesitate to reach out, and you can get a complimentary review of your financial plan and have a deeper discussion about how you can move the needle in the positive direction to a successful retirement. Scott, great game plan you drew up for us today on the show. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.
Go Chiefs.
Yeah, enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. See you soon. Right back here on Your Retirement Elevated.
This video has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this video is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this video is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this video. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC and Elevated Capital Advisors LLC. Walter Storholt and Third Wheel Media LLC receive compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this video.